Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Rotarians, invited guests and friends, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to call upon our outgoing president, Todd Taylor.
Thank you. Welcome to the Rotary installation. If everybody will please stand, and as we do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we will sing our God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Secretary Bruce, would you like to give the invocation?
Watch over our Rotarians who are not able to join us. Help us always remember our model, service of ourselves, bless us with our nourishment. Please ask in your name, amen. Amen.
I'd also like to call on Bob Alcanada to come up and also have a remembrance for our past president, Dan Pranka.
No. Thank you, Todd. It is wonderful to be back here at the Chelsea Rotary Club, and I want to thank President Rick for giving me the opportunity to participate tonight. I think often and fondly of my days in the Chelsea Rotary Club, but I wanted to take this opportunity to offer a few words of remembrance in honor of our late President, Daniel Pranka. Dan passed away on December 8th, 2021. I know all of us were deeply saddened by his death, and I'm sure he continues to hold a special place in our hearts and memories. To know Dan was to love him. He was a kind and gentle man who gave of himself to everyone and expected nothing in return. He also ran a pretty good football pool. I'm just saying. Dan was the embodiment of service above self. It was not a reference point for him or a goal to strive for, but rather it was the way he lived his life. He demonstrated this to all of us as a longtime member and president of the Saugus Rotary Club, and then of course our Chelsea Rotary Club. I feel privileged to have known him and to count him as my friend, and I suspect all of us tonight who knew him feel the same as me. The world we live in today could be a much better place tomorrow if more people chose to live their lives like Daniel Pranka. Dan, we shall never forget your kindness and the joy you spread to all those you encountered. You showed us the way, and now we will carry on in your memory. May you rest in peace, and if you all just join me now for a moment of silence and of silent reflection. Thank you.
In Rotary, a big thing has always been, although the International has relaxed it a little bit, but it's always been about the attendance. Years ago, when it was a requirement that you had to make 60% of the meetings and be there 60% of the time, and a lot of people really adhere to that. And you don't only have to attend your own club. You can attend a Rotary club anywhere in the world. And when you do, they give you a postcard, you bring it back, you give it to your secretary, and you get credit for the meeting. But we do have some of our own Rotarians who have been doing an excellent job keeping their attendance up, and I would like to call upon them to come up and receive their pins. And again, in the essence of time, I will call the names, and as they're heading up, I will call the next one. I don't see our superintendent, Dr. Yaveda, here. Oh, you are here, Doctor. Come on up. Oh, my goodness. You are hiding in the back.
I'm hiding.
Dr. Beta has 1 year perfect attendance, so for the last, wow, she's never missed a meeting. She is very compliant. You are welcome. Our incoming president, Rick Gopin. 1 year perfect attendance. You don't have to run. You're welcome, sir. Outgoing president, Councilman Todd Taylor, 1 year, perfect attendance. It's amazing you can do that with all that campaigning you were doing out there, to be able to keep up your Rotary attendance. That's wonderful. We do. One of our senior members, and the first female member to ever join the Chelsea Rotary Club, past President Sue Gallant. 2 years, perfect attendance. What? Which one? Oh, you want the first female member? Oh. Well, I was 50% right. Okay. I will give myself an award for 3 years. Oh, thanks. I will give myself an award for 3 years of perfect attendance. Oh my goodness. Well, we'll have to square these numbers out later because they're all mixed up. All right, we'll give them a... You had to say something? 5 years, perfect attendance, past President Dave Midland. 7 years, perfect attendance, past President Juan Gallego. Juan, with all your Rotary activity in this country and out of the country, you probably got 14 years for perfect attendance. We're going to pass out the pins when we get the numbers squared away. Okay. We're going to sell yours. 12 years perfect attendance, past President Joe Vanat. 38 and this is almost unheard of. 38 years, perfect attendance. Our secretary and past president, Bruce Mock. We'll square the pins out later because the numbers are all mixed up. And we don't have enough pins to add up to 38. Oh, okay, you've got your own. Ladies and gentlemen, our recipients. Ladies and gentlemen, again, in an effort to keep our program moving, the caterer said we have a few minutes. The truck with the mashed potatoes hasn't showed up. So we're going to go on to the next part of our program. Some 30 years ago, one of our members the late Albert Sklar, was thinking of a way to honor our own Rotarians. As a Rotary Club, we do a lot for other people, a lot of other organizations, but we very rarely do anything for ourselves. So we thought, or Albert thought, that a great way to do that was to every year honor a Rotarian who follows the Rotary motto, service above self. And to make sure that everybody got a fair and equal share, it was decided that the past recipients who really understand the meaning of service above self and all the work that they do would be the committee that would select the next Rotarian of the year. And further, the previous Rotarian of the year would present the honor to the new Rotarian of the year. Normally I would speak a little bit more about it, but our past recipient, Juan, who should be almost a Rotarian of the year every year for all of his humanitarian efforts. And you know, I'm really confident that I could stand up at a Rotary International meeting, which people are from all over the world, and mention Juan's name, and he would get a louder reception than he got here for all the work Juan has done all over this world. So Juan, give us the honor of presenting the Rotarian of the Year Award.
Alan, can you please stand by me and translate this from Spanish to English? Can you do that one? No, that's upside down. That's upside down.
No, I can't.
Thank you, Alan. You're so kind with your words. Oh my God.
Some other words?
Not the ones you've been telling me lately, but thank you indeed. It is an honor to present the Rotarian of the Year award. Being chosen a Rotarian of the Year is a great tribute, one that rewards a Rotarian for a great job done, one that distinguishes you among your fellow Rotarians. This evening, our Chelsea Rotary Club nominates one of our own, Jay. I am impressed of your dedication to our club, your hard work, and love in making a difference. One example, little example, that's all. You worked so hard leading us on raising over $23,000 to help the people of Ukraine, putting a great fundraiser together, assembling just about all of our members of our club to participate in one way or another for a great cause. You did this in a period of a month. I am particularly impressed since it took me and my fellow Rotarians over a year to raise $12,000 for a health center we built in Colombia for an indigenous community. This was without you. Imagine how much more we could have raised with your leadership. This is why, from now on, I will leave all the fundraising for you to lead. With no further ado. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Jayash.
I get to speak? Thank you so much, Juan. As Alan said, we all are in awe of your work, and to receive this award and have you introduce it really means a lot to me. I want to share a secret as to how to run a successful telethon. Just let the Monkowitzes know that you're running a telethon. Once you get the first donation, the next 10 are very easy, so that's a secret. So it's great to be back in Chelsea Rotary. You know that I took a hiatus while I was doing other things around the state. And as I was happily going around the state, I felt that something was missing as I was going around the state, and what was missing was all of you. The work that you do, the fellowship that we have, the spirit that we all get together and give back to the community is so special. It's such an honor for me to be taken back in by all of you, and I'm really pleased to be able to contribute back. We had a wonderful time at Chelsea Day this past week, as an example. Thank you everyone who worked hard at Chelsea Day, and every event we do, you could see that the touch that we put on Rotary, from Rotary, and the commitment that we all have to making our communities better, whether they be here in Chelsea or overseas, as Juan does so much, is recognized and valued. So thank you all for this tremendous honor. It means an awful lot. I'm glad that I'm no longer a public official and I can accept cash now. So Juan, thank you. Thank you very much for the cash on behalf of the Rotary Club. So anyway, thank you all for this honor. I appreciate it very much.
No hay otra forma.
Ladies and gentlemen, in an effort to keep our program moving along, we know some people are still eating, so just eat a little faster so you can catch up with everybody else. And we are going to go into the next section of our program, but before I do that, I'd like to introduce the city manager, Tom Ambrosino. Even though I don't work for him anymore, you can applaud. I might need a favor someday. And city councilor who is, he has a better attendance than some Rotarians, Leo Robinson. And you know, I had said earlier that we made history in one respect tonight, that we have the district governor that the outgoing president served under, and we have the district governor that our incoming president will be serving under. And in all my years in Rotary, I don't remember ever having both district governors here at the same time, so thank you very much. And it's the same thing for the city manager. We have the former city manager, Joe Fody, Jay Ash, and we have the current city manager, I don't know if anybody's told him yet, Tom Ambrosino, so we actually have a couple of city managers here at the same time. One of the highest honors that anyone can receive in the Rotary Club is that to receive an award after the founder of Rotary, Paul Harris. And I would like to call upon outgoing or past District Governor Terry to come up and make that presentation.
Thank you, Alan. So I'll just give you the short version. I was going to scare him and show him how many pages I had. But the Paul Harris Fellow is an award given to those who have given $1,000, possibly over several years, to our foundation, or by a sponsor that has given the money in your name for extraordinary services rendered. It is one of the most prestigious awards in Rotary, and thereby named after the founder of Rotary, Paul Harris. This can come as donations into the annual fund by supporting polio. Part of your donation goes to creating peace. You're a person who supports clean water and sanitation, where water is measured and worth more than gold. It makes you someone who believes that all babies, children, and moms should have good medical resources, microcredit, and equal rights. You are a person that is fighting AIDS, polio, malaria, and other diseases, and doing so much more than I could ever tell you in these few short minutes. Let me get my list over here. I'm going to call up a whole group of people. We'll figure out your pins after. I'll ask you to stand here and we'll get a great picture together. Being a Paul Harris Fellow +1 is Fella Goldberg. Also a Paul Harris +1, Frank Kowalski. Another Paul Harris +1, Joel Mazur. Another Paul Harris +1, Ken Weber. Another Paul Harris +1, Lois Hutchinson. Another Paul Harris +1, Michael Falzoni. Paul Harris +2, Alan Albert. And Paul Harris +3, Richard Gordon. So they asked me would I say a few words. You have another more than Paul Harris honoree here, and that's Juan Gallego, who was introduced earlier as the Rotarian of the Year last year. And Jay asked me, did I have anything I can say in public? And so Juan, what happened in the Philippines will stay there. I will not tell anything about those.
I won't tell about you either.
Thank you, thank you. It goes both ways, we have that. Juan and I both have a passion for Rotoplast, and that is helping children who have cleft palate and cleft lip. And I had met him many years ago as a person on this committee working with Bob Wood. And the year that I went on the mission, he came along with us. We didn't have a big crew going, but he joined up and he came as the quartermaster. And so the quartermaster takes care of everything going on, makes sure that we have the materials or whatever, but he also sets up the hospitality room. So he says to me, Terry, what do you want? And I said, a little Malibu would be nice with Diet Coke. You know, all the doctors are drinking Bombay, Sapphire, gin and tonic and stuff. So he comes back the first day, he said, I couldn't find Bailey's. I couldn't find Malibu. Will Bailey's, can you drink Bailey's? I said, in what world do you compare these two things as being the same? Coconut rum and like an Irish whiskey kind of thing. Fortunately, I have Irish, Italian, and Portuguese blood, so I can drink anything. So that was a great bottle that we finished, and then he came on to the next thing. The thing is that he's adaptable, and he worked as hard as everyone on that trip to make sure that the children were taken care of, that the surgeries went through, and he's just a great guy. For our foundation here in our district, he has donated endlessly. Besides the projects that he has worked on through your club in Colombia and around the world. He is a benefactor, which means that's his pin with all his little diamonds on it. So he's a benefactor level 4 of the foundation. That means that when you're going to be gone, you make a donation, and hopefully if you have something left, it goes to the Rotary Foundation. If you spent all your money, well, it was nice that you thought of us, but it can't go there if you don't have it. He also has become a major donor in other ways, participating. And last year he came during my year, and he wanted $2,000 to help aid his Columbia grant, the Wells. So when I heard about it, I said, you know, why don't you present to the council? So he did. He came on to a Zoom meeting and he presented to the track. And when he was done, we said, thank you, we'll get back to you, we'll talk to you. So I had the pleasure of coercing my fellow members on the track and said, we can't give him $2,000. What does $2,000 do? Nothing. Let's give him $10,000. Yeah? And it had an 80% match attached to it, so it added $18,000 to his grant.
I love you, Terry.
Yeah, we love you. And it's his willingness to step out and to work for others and to help others that made us want to go ahead and help him more than he had asked for. So please give a warm round of applause for Juan, because he's a stellar member of your club.
I did, and you kept talking. Well, I can't say the highlight of the evening, because the whole night's been a highlight. It's been a great thing. But the reason that brought us all here together tonight is the installation of our officers and directors. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to call upon the District Governor, Alex Falk, who will do the installation of the officers and the Board of Directors. District Governor.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you for having me tonight. It's a real great pleasure to be here with all of you. And I know that tiramisu is in front of you, so I have to compete with tiramisu. That is never easy. I will try my best. I will try my best. Rick, would you please join me up here? I'll give you the stage. We don't need to have any hierarchies in Rotary. We're all friends here. One of the great pleasures and privileges as a district governor is to be allowed to go to various Rotary clubs and help them with recognitions of members, such as Paul Harris Fair recognitions, but most importantly, installations of club presidents and boards. And so without further ado, I would like to install you as Rotary Club President of the Rotary Club of Chelsea. Rick, you've been selected by the members of this Rotary Club to guide its affairs during the coming year. You have been entrusted with an important responsibility that will help shape your club's future. Incoming President Rick, you have been elected to the office of President of the Rotary Club of Chelsea by its members. It is an expression of their confidence in your leadership. I would like to now administer the oath of office to you. So if you would repeat after me. I, Rick Gopin, do solemnly affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the Rotary Club of Chelsea, and that I will do the best of my ability, and I love this part here, give support and assistance to the District Governor and to Rotary International, and that I will uphold the Constitution and bylaws of this club. Congratulations. Hymn for you. And it says President 2022-2023. Here we go. congratulations again. And please stay up here, because we're now going to invite all the incoming officers and directors of the club to join us on stage. They too have to compete with tiramisu. And there's a fine for a phone, please. Where's the Sergeant at Arms? Please collect the fine. Thank you. Please, join us on stage. There we go. While they are all up here, you can steal their tiramisu. Fantastic. We got everyone? I'm going to try to not fall off the edge as I make some room so you can see them all. 2, the incoming officers and directors. You have been elected to the important positions in the administration of the Rotary Club of Chelsea. This is an indication of your fellow Rotarians' esteem and confidence in all of you. They also believe you will uphold the high traditions of your club, that you will give the best of your executive ability to the furtherance of the interest of your club and the carrying forward of the object of Rotary. Will you fulfill the responsibilities of your offices to the best of your ability and in accordance with the constitution and bylaws of this club? Congratulations. I hereby declare the new officers and directors installed, and I give President Rick the gavel as a symbol of the transfer of administration of this club. To all of the outgoing officers and directors, though you're retiring from the administration of your club, your continued active involvement in this club is extremely important and highly encouraged. Thank you all for serving, and thank you all. Congratulations. Another round of applause, please, for your new board of directors.
Ladies and gentlemen, a great deal of pleasure to once again give the microphone to our now outgoing president, I get to say that twice, Todd Taylor.
So I'm going to keep this very brief, but I wanted to say thank you to everybody. You know, my first go around as president was completely during COVID, and I would have had perfect attendance that year, except for I got COVID, and there weren't any opportunities for makeups because there weren't any other activities. You know, I didn't expect to be called back into service with the loss of our friend Dan Pranka, who was my friend, and I really miss him a great deal. He was a great boon to our club and helped us raise money with all of his sports stuff. I miss him greatly. But finishing off his year, we really had a good opportunity to do something big. And I wanted to do something for the tremendous humanitarian crisis that we were having in Eastern Europe with the Russian war in the Ukraine. And so I called upon our head fundraiser, Jay Ash. And you know, it was my original intention to try to do a series of events to benefit the Ukraine. He said, no. We did this once before, and we can do it again. And I think you did for Haitian relief, right? And so, you know, Jay took the ball and really did a great job. I think we raised $23,000 for the refugees in Ukraine, and I was very happy that Rotary International had stepped up, and really the whole world stepped up to try to solve this tremendous problem with you know, over 6 million refugees. So it was my pleasure to serve twice. If you look in your programs, you'll see a list of past presidents. I'm the only one who served twice.
Thank you. Thank you, Todd.
But
Keep it that way.
But really, this night is for Rick Gopin. And Rick, you want to come on up and say a few words? Thank you to everybody, and I love Rotary. I love Chelsea Rotary, and this is really a special group of people. And I am so happy and privileged to be a part of it. Thank you, Rick.
So Todd, as you said, you served us twice, and each time you served us, it was at a pivotal moment in our club's history, because the first time that you served us was during the pandemic, and you kept us all engaged, and you also showed us by example what service above self is all about, and that is that at great risk to yourself, you went out and you delivered food and meals to the Chelsea residents. And we're so proud of what you did. We're also so proud of what you did. There was another event that happened in your first presidency, and I'm just going to borrow some of the wording from the Chelsea Record. But there was a mother who was looking for a solution to help her son Gabriel to learn socializing skills and other coping mechanisms. She was often brought to tears when running into so many roadblocks. And this happened in 2020. And at one of our Rotary Club meetings, she was brought to tears once again, but this time tears of joy as her son Gabriel 9 was all smiles in announcing that through the efforts of Chelsea Rotary, he had been matched with a service dog specially trained to help kids with autism, and that was thanks to Todd for spearheading that effort. So the second time around, our club was unfortunately faced with an unsudden death, the passing of Dan Pranka, and you stood there as a beacon of stability and kept our club going. And not only did you keep our club going, but you were the inspiration of the whole Ukraine effort. I remember when at our meeting you said, "Guys, we have to do something for the people of Ukraine." And that's what spurred all the ideas and got eventually Jay involved. But if I may quote you, you said, we're fashioning a community response to the international crisis. And you said, this is what we do in Rotary. Serve our community by supporting each other, all while having some fun, said Taylor. I hope all Chelsea will log in and show the rest of the world how generous and caring we all are. I think what's so important about these two events in your presidency is that the first time around, you made certain that the home front was secure, that Chelsea was secure, and then on the second go around, you made certain that we cared about what's happening in the rest of the world. And so I think your presidencies represent two beautiful bookends of both helping out the people here in Chelsea and helping the people in the rest of the world, namely the Ukrainians. So thank you so much. And for everything you've done And as I said, you've been an amazing president and an amazing person. I'm honored to present to you the Rotary Club of Chelsea plaque to Todd Taylor, President, from 2020 to 2022.
You can have one for your office, and you can have one for your home.
Can I just say one thing? Sorry, I just want to say one thing, and just a quick correction, or an addition, I should say. Maureen Foley deserves a lot of the credit, as does the Marblehead Club, for the dog project. That was a joint effort with the Marblehead Club, and we really appreciate it. Got to know those great people up there. And that's all. I wanted to just make sure that they got some credit where credit was due, and thank you very much.
So, as some of you know, I wear two hats. I am now very delighted to be the president of Rotary, but I am also president of my synagogue. So though we've only had one invocation this evening, because I'm president of my synagogue, it would be only appropriate to have two invocations. And so I'd like to call on Bob again to kindly lead us in a second invocation. Bob?
I just happen to have it prepared. Imagine that. Let us bow our head in prayer. Dear God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here in peace and Rotary service. We reflect in thanksgiving and grateful appreciation for the ability to serve this community over the last 12 months. During a time of great uncertainty, you provided for us a pathway forward to make meaningful and positive differences in the lives of many. With the beginning of a new administration, we look forward with anticipation of strengthening the bonds amongst each other and employing that kinship to continue to serve this community. We pray that through your graces, you will provide President Rick with the guidance, courage, and vision to lead this club to meet the challenges that will be placed before it. We also ask that the Board of Directors and officers be at his side to offer sound counsel and assistance in our collective journey forward. Allow us to go forth and offer peace where there is strife, provide nourishment where there is hunger, and offer comfort where there is suffering. May we always embody service above self in our daily lives. Amen.
So, as some of you know, back in June, we had looked at several dates for this installation, and we went back and forth. At one time it was supposed to be June 21st, then it was June 27th, then it was June 28th. Anyhow, I put it to a poem, and I hope you'll all enjoy it. Some of it, I'll just highlight to you just some of the background. One of them was that the installation was almost going to be at Allen's Temple in Malden, but that was short-lived. And another event that happened was that Todd and I both came down with COVID, and though I would have had to wear a mask to come to the installation, I think Todd was within the first 5 days, so he was not able to come. So anyhow, that's sort of some of the background. Let me start with the poem. The title is If You Only Knew, and this is how I'd like to start the poem. If you only knew what we had to do to make a reservation for this installation. We looked at the 21st in June, but that seemed too soon. So we picked the 27th that turned out fleeting when our President Todd told us he had a city council meeting. We looked at the 28th, but that could not be, for it was Alan's and Lorraine's wedding anniversary. So we circled back to June 21st, the original date that we picked first. This sounds a lot like Laurel and Hardy's routine, who's on first? We looked at several venues with an assortment of kosher venues. Alan's Temple in Malden was not too far, but it lacked a full-fledged bar. No sooner had we settled on Anthony's that we realized that June 21st was not meant to be. You see, Todd and I came down with COVID simultaneously. Perhaps it was serendipity. So here we are at Anthony's, filled with friends and family of Rotary. Now this goes back a year ago. Whether the meat is tender or tough, whether the air conditioning is on or off, the important thing is we found a date, none too late, that we could celebrate. Thank you to Madeline and Sue for all that you do. Our club would not be the same without you. A special shout out to Mike and Jay for treating us Rotarians with these fine comedians. For at the end of the day, service above self is putting others' needs fore and after, all mixed in with a sense of laughter. Above all, and merci beaucoup to all of you for your selfless acts of charity, which helps make Chelsea a better community. As we prepare for this coming year, all I ask is that you take on a task, whether it's reading, kettle ringing, or fundraising. There is much work to be done, but the eternal question is, are we having fun? Now it's time for the boring speech. I want to just thank a bunch of people. I first want to thank David Midland, who was the person who introduced me to Rotary. So thank you, David. Or I'll wait another year till the end of my presidency to really know if I should thank you. I do want to thank a lot of people for this past weekend. We had a lot of events. And I hope I don't miss anyone. I want to thank Bruce, Juan, Melissa, David, Jay Ash, Madeline, and a special thank you to Joe, who picked up the bicycles, and Todd for Chelsea Day. I want to thank all of you for giving up your time and making it an amazing event. I want to thank Rick Gordon for the ALS and MS Walk for Living. I believe Fella, Todd, Mike. Am I missing anyone? Jay and Barbara. Alan and Bruce. Wow, that was a lot of names there. Okay. I'll get this one right. I want to thank Kenny for the Veterans Cruise, along with Bruce, David, Juan, and Melissa. And just a couple of things, housekeeping notes before I go into my speech, is next Wednesday at 6 p.m. we'll be having our regular meeting at the Lime Restaurant. So we will not be meeting next Tuesday, but we will be meeting next Wednesday, the 28th, again at 6 p.m. at the Lime Restaurant. And then I want to mention October 4th, we're going to be having a commemoration of Chelsea conflagration of the fire in 1973. And then October 11th, I'm very excited, Madeline 13 are going to have organized the Hispanic Heritage Luncheon on October 11th. So we really have a lot of wonderful things ahead of us. All right, so let me jump into my speech. As you know, Jennifer Jones, the president of Rotary, has chosen Imagine as her theme for her presidency. According to Jennifer, and I'm going to quote you, Imagine to me is about dreams and the obligation to run after those dreams. I want people to think about the things that they want to achieve and then use Rotary as the vehicle to get there. We have such a huge array of opportunities in front of us, but we need to channel our energies so that we make sustainable, impactful decisions about what we do. The most powerful thing for a member is to be able to say, I have an idea, and then to share that with others and to amplify it and figure out where to go with it. Imagine is an empowering word, giving people permission to say that they want to do something to make their world better, and they can do it because they're part of this family. Here at Chelsea Rotary, I am very proud to belong to a group of people who are both dreamers and doers. I would like to take a pause and imagine what Chelsea would be without Rotary. In the movie It's a Wonderful Life, Jimmy Stewart plays George Bailey, a building and loan banker who was about to jump off from a bridge. Clarence, who plays George's guardian angel, jumps in first, forcing George Bailey to rescue him. George does not believe Clarence is his guardian angel, and he bitterly wishes he had never been born. Clarence then shows George Bailey what Bedford Falls would have been like if it hadn't been for all his good deeds over the years. We should similarly take stock in the many good deeds that Chelsea Rotary has done over the years. I shudder to think what Chelsea today would be without Camp Rotary. Since 1988, Chelsea Rotary has sent over 300 kids between ages 7 and 15 to experience overnight camp where they can enjoy being kids. I shudder to think what Chelsea would be without Project Recovery. For over 20 years, Chelsea Recovery has given cash and gift cards totaling $17,000 to people who have lost their homes due to a fire and are left with nothing but the clothes on their back. I shudder to think what Columbia would be without Chelsea Rotary's help to build a local health center where 2,800 people no longer have to walk as long as 19 hours to get to the nearest medical facility. I shudder to think what Columbia would be without Chelsea Rotary's help in drilling 24 water wells for 250,000 people so they no longer have to walk 3 to 4 kilometers to drink water. In the Talmud, it states that whoever saves a single life is considered to have saved the whole world. These water wells have not only saved lives, but now every single saved life can go on to make an entire generation. Whether it is sponsoring college scholarships, distributing turkeys on Thanksgiving, giving toys and clothes to our children during Christmas, taking our veterans on a boat cruise and honoring them at a Veterans Day luncheon, this is what Rotary is all about. Bobby Kennedy is famously quoted for saying, "Some men see things as they are and say, why? I see things that never were and say, why not?" Both passion and vision and a desire to make the world a better place has guided Chelsea Rotary over the years, and I hope we may continue that same activism in the coming years. I have 3 goals for the coming year. Goal number 1, literacy project. National data show that children who were just learning to read early on in the pandemic have the lowest reading proficiency rates in about 20 years. In an article that I read in the Wall Street Journal, a 9-year-old named Delaney Tidwell from Tennessee says she loves to read, but the tricky part for her is understanding the words. Tragically, she can't. According to Delaney, I read one sentence over and over again. Delaney's difficulty with comprehension is also hurting her in math class, where she struggles to understand word problems, said her mother, who pins some blame on the pandemic. Unfortunately, Delaney cannot get the help she needs at home. Her father is a construction supervisor, and her mother works from home, but only has a few breaks during the day. As a result, she is not getting the reading she needs from home. Delaney's story is alarming, as a new study this year shows that 1/3 of children in the youngest grades are missing reading benchmarks, up significantly from before the pandemic. In Boston, 60% of students at some high poverty schools have been identified as at high risk for reading problems, twice the number of students as before the pandemic. Children in every demographic group have been affected, but Black and Hispanic children, as well as from low-income families, those with disabilities, and those who are not fluent in English, have fallen the furthest behind. The schools, of course, are trying to reverse this loss in learning through tutoring. So the question is, for us as Rotarians, what can we do? Beginning October 4th, and on the first Tuesday of every month, the Chelsea Rotary is partnering with the Kelly Elementary School in reading out loud to kids. Reading out loud has clear cognitive benefits. Hearing stories strengthens the part of the brain associated with visual imagery, story comprehension, and word meaning. In a 1985 study, Becoming a Nation of Readers, the single most important activity for building knowledge for their eventual success is reading aloud to children. Todd and Frank will be our first readers at the Kelly School on October 4th. I encourage everyone who has not yet signed up to do so. Please sign up with Bruce. Goal number 2, microfinance loans. At the very first Tuesday luncheon of my presidency, I invited our District Governor Alexander and our Assistant Governor Terry to introduce our club to microfinance loans. It is a loan made directly between individuals with no collateral. No bank is involved. The loan amounts typically range from $25 to $500. These small loans are made to those in poverty, anywhere from El Salvador to Zimbabwe, who can use these loans for their businesses to buy a tractor, a sewing machine, or a goat, which can help lift them out of poverty and become financially independent. This loan has an immediate impact on the borrower's family and on the borrower's community. The borrowers will pay back the money with interest and on time. The returned money is loaned out again either to the same borrowers or to new borrowers. Since 2018, $124 billion in microloans have been made. And as Alexander pointed out at our meeting, 80% of these microfinance loans have been made to women. So for us Rotarians, the question is, what can we do? It's easy. We can make loans to entrepreneurs needing a leg up in their businesses, to farmers needing equipment, or to students anywhere in the world for as little as $25. I went on the Kiva website and the possibilities are endless. As examples, we can help Joshua in Kenya buy a delivery van. We can help Rosa in Ecuador buy fabrics and materials for her sewing workshop, or Deborah in Paraguay to buy a computer for her coursework. At the end of the day, we are helping them become self-sufficient, and then after the loan is repaid, we can then loan this money again. I read this in one of the Rotary magazines. Nobody expects me or you or one individual to change the world, but we do expect each individual to influence the things that he or she is able to influence. People who make the optimistic choice, not to deny the problem, but to believe they can be fixed, make the world better. Microloans is a perfect example where we as Rotarians can make a long-standing difference by making a small investment in someone's life. Goal number 3, winter coat and blanket drive. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has put a strain on global energy supplies, pushing up fuel prices. Heating costs are expected to rise 12.3% this year. Natural gas is expected to increase more than 20%. The consumer price index is up 8.3% over the last 12 months. The point here is that many people lack enough warm clothing and blankets to stay protected through the winter, and they lack the money to buy this clothing and bedding. For us as Rotarians, what can we do? The board has discussed a number of ways that Rotary can partner with other organizations in this winter, for this upcoming winter, by holding a coat and blanket drive. In the coming weeks, I appeal to all of our club members to come up with ideas on how we can collect winter coats and blankets through drop-off locations and then distribute them to those who need them the most. Almy and Aaron have offered to help with this drive, but we need many other volunteers to roll up their sleeves to make this work. So here we are with those three goals, and I just want to end on a very positive note, and that is, as some of you may know, next week is the Jewish New Year. It is a time of prayer, self-reflection, and repentance. It is customary to greet one another with blessings and good wishes for a good year. And we all need good wishes. Many of us have had difficulties this past year. So I want to take this opportunity to again thank all of you for coming out to celebrate tonight's installation. And I want to wish everyone here a year of peace, love, and above all, good health for you and your families.
Thank you very much, President Rick. I know under your tutelage, with your three goals in mind, the Rotary Club will forge ahead. And that was an excellent recap of everything that the Chelsea Rotary Club does and what Rotary stands for. Thank you very much for bringing that. Now to the serious part of our program. I want to call upon past President Mike, who is the chairman of the Entertainment Committee. And Mike, the show is yours.
Thank you, Alan, and everybody, please remember November 6th, Rick Open, Independent State Representative Council. Rick, that was an excellent speech. Thank you for the short version. Would have been afraid of the long version. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have two very special guests. We have Steve and Tony. I've known these gentlemen for a long time, and when you think about service above selves and giving back to the community, these two guys have been in the comedy business for a long time. They worked along with my sister for many years. These guys go out relentlessly to make us laugh, for us to have a good time. No matter what type of day they're having, they're working hard, and they're here pro bono to give back to our community, give back to Chelsea. But before we go on with that, I think you should know a little bit about me. So, I got my speech here. I was born in Revere, Massachusetts, 1965. I was as arrogant that day as I am today. No, seriously, I'm just teasing. But due to the limited time we have, there will be no bathroom breaks. Please stay in your seats, do not move. Please shut off your phones, put them on silent. And I know, let's give these guys the respect that they deserve. I would say keep the chattering down to a limit amount and low, but just let's cut it out and give them all the attention they deserve so they don't have to work the crowd. What's that?
About the laughs.
It's coming up. It's coming up. Steve, why don't we bring a longtime veteran of Boston comedy shows, Steve Bork.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me here at this installation. And I actually am a past president of Rotary in Wilmington, Massachusetts. Yeah, so I am thrilled to be here in front of you guys. I've always been inspired by the motto of service for yourself. And I have to say, though, Rick, I do take exception to your poem. As a professional comedian, Who's on First was Abbott and Costello, not Laurel and Hardy. I got to tell you, I cringed when I heard that. And Todd, where's Todd? Todd, you've been a president twice. Yeah, from my experience, that shows a low intelligence level. But thanks for serving. And I really am really pleased to be here in front of you people who love your community of Chelsea so much that you chose to have your installation in Malden. And I understand that this is the first big event you've had since the pandemic. Is that right? Yeah. Well, it's wonderful to get together for fellowship. I hope you all had a nice pandemic. I did not. I'm a single dad with 4 kids, so I did not have a fun vacation, fun lockdown in particular. That lockdown was brutal for a single dad, and it was brutal for everybody, especially because it happened so early in the process. You know, everybody was scared. They didn't know where it was all going to go. All my friends are like, I can't even listen to the news. It's too depressing. was like, yeah, for the most part, that's true, but I found the traffic reports very uplifting. For a while. Then they just got annoying. I don't know if you guys listen to WBZ. Yeah, they do a traffic report every 10 minutes, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And during that lockdown, they were committed. Nobody's going anywhere. And every 10 minutes they're going up to the helicopter. I started feeling bad for the helicopter guy. He's just looking to, validate his job. He's looking for stuff where he's never looked before. He's reporting on stuff he's never reported on. Every 10 minutes, all right, we're going to go up to Kevin up in the helicopter. Kevin, how are the roadways looking? We got a couple trouble spots to report on. We got a 2-car backup on Route 9 in Wellesley. There's a family of ducks crossing the road. You may want to avoid that area. We have a disabled vehicle on Sullivan Road in Billerica. True, that is a dead end, but if you live in one of the 3 houses on the other side of that vehicle, you're going to have a tough time getting home. And Lori, let's be frank about this. My job became obsolete as soon as they invented smartphones. But I got 300 payments left on this helicopter, so I'm going to be up here every 10 minutes till the bitter end. All right, thanks, Kevin. We'll check back with you in 10. I mentioned I'm a single dad. Haven't always been. That wasn't the original plan. I was married for 22 years. Then we grew apart, a minimum of 100 yards. That's not true. I don't do ex-wife jokes. I try to remember the good things, the good times. I still remember the first date I ever took her on. It was the fall, and I took her apple picking. Actually, it wasn't too far from here. It was at the Shaw's. And, yeah, it's very romantic. They don't want you to climb, whatever. But so now, at this point in my life, I'm single. And I obviously didn't prepare. I will say this, even when I'm in good shape, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'2", I have big shoulders, big hands. I don't even have a small intestine, they're both huge. But as far as being single, I don't know how to do it. And let's be frank about this, I don't have anything to offer. It's okay, this is a visual medium, you can acknowledge it. Let's look at my dating resume. I have 4 little kids. I drive a 2018 Dodge Caravan, ladies. I just had it painted to look like an Amazon truck, by the way. Now I can park anywhere I want. I'm sure you've noticed this. In Chelsea, I'm sure, they'll just double park, triple park. Everybody's just going around and going, that's okay, he's delivering happiness. The Amazon truck really is the 21st century's answer to the ice cream truck. Remember when we were kids, you'd hear that bell from 10 blocks away and just go ape shit. You go, oh my God, where's the ice cream truck? We gotta get ice cream. Now as an adult, your phone dings. You're like, I have a package coming. My car visor organizer's coming today. Look for the truck. So I get the kids. I get the van. And I have sleep apnea. Now look, if you're not familiar with sleep apnea, and I'm looking at the crowd, most of you are, but if you're not familiar, let me explain. Sleep apnea is the laziest disease in the history of humankind. That's what it is. It's total laziness. What happens, if you're not familiar with it, what happens when I go to sleep, my throat closes up. It stops working. So it's not even really a disease. It's more of a labor dispute. Yeah, the brain is management is trying to talk him into it. It's like, come on, the lungs are trying, the heart's beating, the bladder's working overtime. The throat's just like, the hell with it. I'm not working the night shift. Most diseases are tragic. A diagnosis of sleep apnea, it's just demeaning. Seriously, it is. I have friends my age who run marathons. I have a couple of my friends, they still do triathlons. Me, I have a soft mattress and a MyPillow. Can't make it through the night without medical assistance. For some reason, at this point in my life, I lay down and had the breathing capacity of a pug. So, in order to survive this horrendous disease, I have this little machine. It's about this big. It's called a CPAP. I call it a throat bully. And attached to that is a 6-foot length of reinforced sausage casing. And then the other end of that is a mask. The mask literally straps onto my face. And it's got that tube hanging down. So it kind of looks like that alien from the movie Alien. And I hit the button and it starts forcing air in against my throat's will. So I can't wait to introduce that into a new relationship. Sure, I'd love to spend the night. Hey, you know what I was thinking? Maybe we could play jet fighter pilot tonight. And tomorrow I'm going to take you apple picking. Shaw's is a good place to go apple picking, by the way. Market Basket, not so much. I will tell you, I enjoy going to the supermarket as a single guy. As a married man, not so much. Because as a married man, I always walked in with a list. Yeah, I didn't write the list. My wife wrote the list. I didn't want to do the list, but I wanted to live in the house. Now as a single guy, I walk in and I see all the married guys. They're walking around with their list. Do you have milk? I need to get 1% of milk. 2. Not me, I don't have a list now. I just freestyle. Just grab my car, walk in there, woohoo, Frosted Flakes, Cheez-Its, Yoo-hoos. And I screwed up the list every time. One time, I'll remember one time in particular, it wasn't my fault at all. On the list, my wife wrote C. cheese. Could be cheddar. Could be cream. Could be cottage. Could be Colby freaking Jack for all I know. Tell you what I did. I scribbled that out and I bought Velveeta. That's right, Velveeta's a man cheese. Any cheese that melts 1 degree above room temperature is a man cheese. A buddy of mine heard me do this routine. He told me that one time on his list, his wife wrote down 2 pounds, CHIX. Ladies? Chicken, sure. Guys? Check cereal. That's what he came home with. 2 pounds. He was very proud of himself. He knew he had to come home with 2 pounds, so he's in the cereal aisle doing calculations. All right, there's 12 ounces in this box. I need 2 of these. I need a sample box over here. Worst area, though, worst section of the supermarket, hands down, deli counter. Oh, I used to see the cold cuts on that list. I'm like, oh, man. Now I have to go where they keep all the unhappy people. That's where they keep them. They tuck it way back in the corner of the store. Right? I don't know where you do your shopping. Where I go, between the deli counter and the whole rest of the store, there's this big display, blocks of deli counter. I have no idea what's going on over there. Till I round the corner and all of a sudden I'm right in the middle of a scene from The Walking Dead. It's just 30 people milling around, no discernible order whatsoever. Just a herd of walkers looking for lunch meat. They got one guy behind the counter. He's got tennis elbow and conjunctivitis. They're working on number 15. My ticket's got the symbol for infinity. Here's what becomes particularly annoying, at least for a guy like me. It's finally my turn. All right, I place an order. Guy slices up, he puts in the scale. I get this every single time. A little bit over, okay? What do you think? Do I look like a stickler for portion control to you? I'll tell you what, I authorize you for the entire rest of my order. If I order half a pound, order 2 pounds. I don't care. In fact, I'll let you know a little secret about me. Nothing goes bad in my house. So keep slicing, deli boy, keep slicing. Well, the last time I was in there with cold cuts on my list. Apparently on that particular day, they'd sold a whole bunch of roast beef. So I placed my order for half a pound of roast beef. I get this right off the bat. We're going to have to go open up a new one. Well, go do it. What the hell are you telling me for? I don't need to know step by step what your job entails. In fact, you know what? In a minute, I have to go get broccoli. I wasn't going to burden you with that information. I don't know. Is he trying to talk me out of it? Is that it? Oh, I don't want a fresh new one. Ugh. Sure you don't have an old crusty one hanging around back there? Look in the way back. Maybe there's a moldy end. I'll just gnaw on it while I shop. That'd be fantastic. Then there's the opposite end of the store. That's the bag boy. Now apparently he's all ticked off about his occupational choice. He's going to take it out on me. I'm in line, all right? It's my turn. I take all the items out of my cart, I put them on the belt. My job is done. Now I'm left to occupy myself. To my left are the gossip magazines. They hold my attention for about 1.5 seconds. To my right, far more interesting, is a 6-foot-tall rack of candy bars. Now, it may not surprise you to hear that every once in a while I might succumb to an impulse. I'll grab a candy bar, throw it on the belt. That is the last item to get to the bag boy. And I get this every single time. You want those in a bag? That's what he says. Let me give you the translation on that. Do you have a shred of self-control whatsoever? Do you think you could even make it out of this building without shoving this in your face? Can you do that, big fella? Put it in a bag, will you please? People are starting to stare. Put it in a bag. I know I'm not fooling anybody. I know that everybody in that store knows as soon as I get out to the trunk of my car, I'm going to be rifling through those bags, looking for the mystery Snickers bag. But give me a little bit of dignity. That's all I ask. And it's not once in a while. They must train in this way, because it's every single time. You want this in a bag? No. Actually, do me a favor, will you? Open it up, shove it down my gullet before my debit card finishes processing. Can you do that? I'll tell you what, after you open that up, go help the deli guy. He can't open nothing. You guys are a great group. I'm all done. I'm going to bring up your final performer. This guy is one of my favorite people in the world, but he's also one of the greatest comedians in the country. Very recently, he was the very first comedian to take the stage, comedy stage, at Fenway Park. He's been in a ton of movies, all kinds of television credits. Please welcome to the stage the one, the only, the carpet, the one and the only Tony Veep.
Steve Bjork, ladies and gentlemen, give him a nice round of applause. Yes. Yes, nice to be here. Fenway Park, yes. And now this. You just never know. And so far, this is more fun. Not as nerve-wracking. I've been here before. And it's nice to be here. This room is beautiful. It looks like something out of the Poseidon Adventure. Someone's butt comes through one of these chandeliers. I'm out. That's all I know. It's good to be here. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know what you do. I don't know what a Rotary Club does. I assume you take care of the traffic circles? Is that, am I wrong in assuming that? No, that's not it, ma'am. No. It was a good guess. That's the only other Rotary I know. And we're the only ones who call them Rotaries. Everywhere else is traffic circle. Except in New Jersey, they're called jug handles. Yeah, they don't have them in New Jersey. You can't take a left in New Jersey. You just got to go right till you get to where you're going. Little known fact about New Jersey. Thought I'd educate as well. So it's nice to be here. Please, by the way, excuse my appearance, but this is what I look like. You play the cards you're dealt, that's all I'm saying. World gives you lemons, I say keep them. There's nothing wrong with a lemon. You don't know when you're going to run into some club soda or fish. I guess Steve asked, I wasn't here for the complete beginning. Did you have a nice pandemic? Was it good? Yeah, mine was, I didn't have much to judge it against. I was very young in 1918 for the first one. Went well. And now, the president this week said it's over. Did you know that? Yeah. I don't know if it is or not. I know he thinks it is. And here's how I know the government thinks it's over. They are now trusting us to test ourselves at home. When they get to that point, you know they don't care anymore. It used to be all this hoopla. Now they just go, look, we're going to send a bunch of stuff to your house. You stick it on your face and look for some lines. You might have COVID, you might be pregnant, we don't know. Pick whichever one's least offensive to you and go about your day. It was a weird time for me, my pandemic. I was sequestered, locked down, quarantined, if you will. with my wife of 30 years. It was just she and I. I have kids, but they're adulty. I don't know how old they are. I'm guessing in their 20s. They don't live with us. I got a boy-looking one and a girl-looking one. I'm very woke, by the way. I know I don't look like one to be woke, but I am extremely woke. I gotta be honest with you, I was happy not being woke, but my wife and children woke me. And now there's no putting the bear back, so rest assured I will try not to offend the whole time I'm here. It won't work, but I will try. But that's all I do. I got a boy-looking one, a girl-looking one. I don't know how they identify. None of my business. I never asked. I know my daughter doesn't like to identify as my daughter. But I think that's more of a me thing than a gender thing. You know. And you can see why I'm a little immature. But so back to the original story. It's just my wife and I in the house. You know, months on end. We haven't gone anywhere, right? And one day, and we would bump into each other occasionally in the house, because I am told we love each other very much. But I would bump into her occasionally. And one morning I see my wife, and she's got a look of concern on her face, and being a dutiful husband, I say, "What's the matter, hon? How can I help?" She goes, "Well, I got very nervous this morning." And I go, "Okay, let's talk it out, see what happened." She goes, "Well, yeah, I looked over, and you weren't in one of your spots." And I go, no, I filled out paperwork yesterday, freedom to move about the house. I assumed it carried over to today, but if I got to re-up, I'm fine. You know, I'm not here to make waves. And so we get through that crisis, and then about 20 minutes later, literally now, I'm walking through the kitchen, right? Hadn't been out in months. I'm walking through the kitchen. My wife whips around, she goes, "Where you going?" I go, I don't know, I thought I'd go upstairs. She goes, "What are you going to do up there?" I go, "I don't know, I'm not up there yet." I go, "I got options, there's a couch, a TV." I go, "Maybe I'll take a shower." She goes, "You're going to take a shower now?" I said, "I don't know, I'm not upstairs. And it doesn't seem like I'm getting up there anytime soon." I was doing that joke at its inception about 3 months ago. That's when it started, right? And I was at a country club in Rhode Island. There was a drunk, woman-looking person down front. And the only part I know about that is they were drunk. And she thought that joke needed something added to it. Like, you know. And I knew it was going to be good because she was wagging her finger at me. And when someone's wagging a finger at you, you go, "Oh, I got to hear this." You know, because if you had something to say, you would say, we would deal with it and move about, right? Just go on. But I go, "Oh, I want this one." Because you know what has to transpire for the thought to end up in the tip of the finger. It has to start at the top of the head, filter through whatever brain cells are still working, skip the mouth completely, and travel all the way down the arm to the finger like Harry Potter's wand. And you're going to get Expelliarmus right out of your shoes. So I go, "Yes, ma'am." And she goes, "You know that thing you said about the shower?" I go, "Yeah, I just said it." I sort of remember saying it. She goes, "You could have solved that whole problem if you just asked your wife to get in the shower with you." And I said, "I think you missed the part where I said I've been married for 30 years. If I ever asked my wife to get in the shower with me now, she'd go, "Why? Something you can't reach anymore?" It was trying, and we got through it, though. Came out the other side. And I make fun, but there is I try my best to be like a good guy, but I don't get it right all the time. Like, I do dumb guy thing, you know what I mean, around that. Let me ask the guys this question. You ever get in a conversation with your spouse and right in the middle of it, you realize you're not talking to a friend of yours? And there's no going back? I had this happen, and it's nothing weird. I know we're being taped for all of Chelsea. Although most of you look like you're here. Anybody left to turn out the lights? I don't know how it works. But this is a conversation I tried to have with my wife, and I dare say I could have this conversation with any man in this room, and it would make complete sense. I don't care how old you are, what you do for a living, you would get it, right? I'm talking to my wife, and I go, hey, honey, you know when you put your socks on in the morning? She goes, yeah, you put your socks on in the morning. She's already frustrated. I haven't even started the conversation. And I say, you wear your socks all day, right? She goes, yes, you wear your socks all day. I say, maybe 8, 10, 12 hours. She goes, yes, you wear your socks all day. What's your point? I go, okay, so we agree that is the proper measurement of sock wearing time, 8 to 12 hours. She goes, yeah, what are you getting at? I go, all right, I wore these socks last night for 2.5 hours. Can I put them on again today and get the other 9.5 out of them? And she goes, what is wrong with you? And I said, unspecified. And probably not a great time to have the underwear conversation on this. Then I did, this one, you gotta follow me on this one, all right? It's gonna seem weird for a while. But follow me, because this was one, do you ever do something in the house when you think you're alone, fellas, and you're not? You know, to otherwise go unnoticed, right? I did this a couple weeks ago, right? Out of my own free will, I decided to wash my pillowcases. Nobody asked me. I just went, I'm gonna wash my pillowcases. And here's a tip for you. If you can't ever remember washing your pillowcases, wash your pillowcases. So I'm going to wash, and mind you, I think I'm alone, so I take the pillows out, job one, right? Now you got to remember here, the pillowcases are going right in the wash machine, on hot, with bleach, and my head's going on them. Right before I go to put the pillowcases in the wash machine, I blew my nose on the pillowcases. See, you think that's weird. I didn't. They were going right into the machine, and I thought I was alone. No one would have known. As soon as I do it, I hear from behind me, "Oh!" And then my wife goes, "I knew it." I go, "How did you know it?" "I didn't even know it. I just did it." I go, "You weren't here for the sheets, were you?" You think you get better. I'm not aging well at all. Anybody having that trouble? Yeah. Let me ask the guys this again. You ever get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom for the 3rd or 4th time and catch a glimpse of yourself in the dim light of the bathroom mirror and go, "Who let my dad in here?" It's coming. My dad was great. My dad, he was a funny guy on his 90th. He lived to be 97, my dad. Yeah, he had a nice long run, and he was very funny. On his 90th birthday, I said to him, I go, "Hey, Dad, what do you want for your birthday?" He goes, "Get something you like. You're going to have it pretty soon." So I just said kayak. I was under a lot of pressure. And he lived so long, he had what you call a pacemaker, to keep the ticker going. And I don't know anything about him, because you might find this part hard to believe. I am not a doctor. Honest. But they would tune him up every 3 or 4 months, and I went to one of the meetings, and I was talking to the technician, and it hit me in my tiny little head. I said, "Well, that's electricity in there, right?" And she goes, "Yeah, runs on battery, the pacemaker." I said, "Well, that makes a lot of sense. We haven't been plugging them into anything." "No, we can't go to dinner. Dad's not fully charged." So then I just said, out of curiosity, how long does that battery last? I'm waiting on a kayak. And she says the battery lasts a minimum of 10 years, and we usually get 15 or more out of it. And I said, "Well, that's amazing." have you told the cell phone people about this? Because I can't get but 4 or 5 hours out of mine. Nice part of that story is at the end I hooked up my phone to my dad. And we became very close and he got great reception. I am not going to lie to you. He's a good man. And I do. Let me ask you this about, anybody got the thing now when you start to sit down and the last 4 inches is free fall? That is not a red letter day in a human's life. When you can't control your rate of sitting, you got troubles. It's like I'm sitting, I'm down, that's it, I am down. How'd you get here? I have no idea. Last 4 inches is a blur. Because you know what's coming next. You ever see the folks who need a little bit of momentum to get up? You can see them ticking it off in their heads. That's it, I'm going on 3 no matter what. And they get up like a triumphant gymnast. Ta-da! But things change and I'm not changing with. You're going to find this hard to believe. I actually go into a bank. Into the building. With papers. Oftentimes I'm the only one in there. You know, it's like I got a private bank. Are any bankers in the Rotary? Do they still exist? Yeah, every time I go in, I just give them paper and they fill them out for me. And when I'm leaving, I always go, you know, Tony, we could help you. You could do this on your phone. Now, you could do it on your computer. We'll teach you how to do it. And I go, I don't want to. I go, plus, if I didn't come in, what would you do? You'd have to close up shop. I'm the only one in here. Besides, I'm not really good with the computer. I mean, I admit that. I have rudimentary skills. You know, I can email and what. But I know, just for me, that I'm like 4 keystrokes away from starting a war by mistake. Like, I know one day I'm going to be on the computer trying to figure out my banking. My phone's going to ring. Probably the one that's still on my wall. And it's going to be Homeland Security. And they'll go, Tone, did you hit Command F escape \2? I don't know. Well, we just scrambled jets and we attacked Belize. I don't say this with any pride whatsoever. I have never balanced a checkbook in my life. Ever. And people always say to me, they go, well, how do you know when you run out of money? I go, oh, they'll tell you. Someone's going to mention it to you. Hey, Tone, you know you ran out of money again. Oh, I know. But I try to keep up. Over the summer, I went to see a band called The Who. I don't know if you know The Who, if you're rock and roll fans, one of the best bands ever. Started out with 4 of them, there's only 2 left. I thought I'd get it in before too long. You know, have you gone to an old rock and roll concert lately, any of you? And looked around and go, wow, there's a lot of old people in here. And no one's looking at you like you don't belong. That's the tough part. No one's looking at me going, young man, do you belong here? Were you looking for Lady Gaga or Harry Styles, perhaps? I work a lot in the other place that happens to me is what they euphemistically call over 55 communities, which, let's be honest, there's no one short of 90 in these places. If you were 55 and lived there, you'd rule. You would, you know what I mean? But no, whenever I work these places, no one thinks I'm out of place. That's the thing that freaked me out. Like, no one's going, can we help you, young man? Do you belong? Like, every time they see me, they go, dinner's at 4:30. But so I go to see The Who, and it was great, right? If you know anything about them, there's Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend. They're the 2 left. And Roger Daltrey, if you recall, is famous for swinging the mic real big. He's 78 now, so it's a little more tentative. He looks like he might have hit himself in the face once or twice. You know, but it was still good, and they sounded terrific, and I was happy to be there. But I think they need to start making, some accommodations for us old rock and roll people, just to make it easier. Maybe a porta potty at the end of every row. I don't think that would hurt. A no standing policy. More cushy seats. You can rock just as hard sitting in a cushy seat. Low sodium hot dogs. Would that kill anybody? The merch was different. I bought a t-shirt. It was just a white shirt with 2 X's on it. It said, "Place paddles here." They were not taking chances at all. But that's not even the point of my story. This is it coming up. I don't know why it took so long for me to realize this during the concert, but they had a orchestra backing them up. Strings, cellos and violins. They had a harp and timpani. It was just wonderful, and I go, wow, they sound good. And then I realized they had this orchestra, and the orchestra had the conductor, the stick waving guy, which seems like a useless job to me. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's very important to an orchestra, the conductor, but if you didn't know anything about music, it just looks like a nut waving a stick at people who know what they're doing. Like if he didn't show up one night, they were just gonna goof off the whole evening. Like, hey, the stick guy didn't come. Let's just play Brahms all night. How about that? There's no other job that happens, and that's all I'm saying. You don't go to a mechanic. There's another guy standing over another guy with a wrench, waving it at him. Change the lug nuts, change the lug nuts, do a tune-up. All right, well, you guys have been nice. Any questions of me before I wrap up? I've been monopolizing the entire conversation. And so now, is there a board for the Rotary? Is that how it works? There's a president and then others? Incoming president, outgoing president, there's a vice president, treasurer, secretary, sergeant at arms. Isn't that the guy that usually smacks someone with a stick if they get out of line? Who's that? I want to get on their good side. I'm on your good side, young man. I didn't do anything out of off color. I was being really nice. Well, I wish you all the best. If there are no questions, I would say this. Always please keep supporting live stand-up comedy, because you don't want me showing up at your house with Tupperware and stuff. Thanks a lot. You guys were terrific. How about again for Steve Bjork? And all of you, continued success. Be happy. Bye-bye.
Wasn't Tony great? Tony, everyone's thanking you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Michael, Past President Michael, thank you so much for bringing the 2 gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings to a conclusion tonight's Rotary installation of officers and directors. It was a great time.